had the amazing opportunity to sit down and talk to international photographer Jermaine Gibbs. In this interview, he talks about his start into photography and the many opportunities he had to not only visit the many countries in Africa, but capture the many stories through each photo taken. He also shares how this experience led him to start the Hope Mission to help bring resources to the different villages within Africa. So with no further ado, here's international photographer Jermaine Gibbs. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. I know I've known you like through different events and stuff, so but I do follow you a lot on Instagram, and I see a lot of your work, and I've been like so impressed by some of the things that you do. But before we get into any of that, why photography?
I guess I had to go with the saying. I didn't choose photography. I think photography chose me.
Okay.
It was a way to communicate. So I grew up a very shy person, and for me, photography is a way to tell a story without having to be actually a talker.
Oh, okay.
And then it's kind of like therapy. But actually now that kind of get me out of my comfort zone, because I'm always somewhere talking to people. So yeah, but I think photography chose me, but it chose me at a very young age.
Really?
Yeah, I probably started when I was about 8 years old.
Okay. Did you have a camera?
I did. I had a film camera.
Okay.
And I remember taking photos, running to Rite Aid, and get them developed. Because this time it was film, and then they would say, "Come back in a couple hours," and I would be back in 45 minutes. Like, with your pictures. So yeah.
Okay. So what were you taking? Like, what were different
family photos, just random photos walking down the street. Because to me, every photo you take is document history. Because you can't go. A picture I took 10 years ago, I can take downtown, and I can go back 5 years and look. It's gonna look totally different.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it's like document history.
Right. Now, that's interesting. So when you did get into photography, you got further down the line. Like, how did you get into like transitioning into journalism? Because that's a whole nother world.
Yeah, it's a whole nother world. But I think I took a trip probably maybe almost 5 years ago, and I went with a whole group. But they was just doing to me what I would call a commercialized version of discovering Australia and Fiji. And I decided to go on a beacon path and do my own thing.
Okay.
And I hired a driver, and he took me away because I told him what I wanted. I said I want to meet the real people and learn how the people live, the culture, and have a better understanding. He said, "You really want to do that?" So we took about a 3-hour drive up a mountain that was, I don't know how, it was really high. It took 2.5 hours, and literally it was just one-way road. One wrong move, and you were over. You was over.
Wow.
But when we got there, it was like the happiest people. It was probably a village of maybe, I want to say, 28 people. And I was introduced to a family, and that family kind of took me in and did a whole tour. I sat out and had lunch with them, got a better understanding of how they live, what they eat, their religion, and all of that type of stuff. And that just kind of opened my eyes, like, man, I enjoyed this. This don't feel like work.
And it got you out of your comfort zone because you said you were shy.
Yes.
So you had to be able to talk to people.
Yes, and then from there, I just started doing my own thing, and one thing led to another thing, and then I was like, I'm really loving this journalism thing.
Yeah. So, did you ever go to school for it, or it was just something that just dropped into your lap?
Just kind of dropped into my lap, and I'm told everything I know. I told myself.
Wow, that's raw talent, raw talent.
And now I'm teaching other people.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. So because like I said, I watched a lot of your photos, and I think the ones that grabbed me are the ones I think when you go into Africa.
Yes.
Like, what is that like, just to capture those photos?
Oh, man.
Because they're unique, kind of.
I tell people all the time, Africa is so much more than what media and what we. Because for me, when I told people I was going to Africa the first time, he's like, you're not afraid that you're gonna get bit by a lion or animal. And I was like, I don't think there's gonna be stray animals running down the street. And when I got there, it's like literally as soon as you get off the plane and you step outside the airport onto the dirt, you just feel love. You just feel a whole different vibe. It's just something that I can't even put into words. But anybody that's ever been to Africa can probably vouch and just tell you how it feels. And the people there, it's just like, you really want to feel love, you go to Africa because they will love on you. Because for them, it's like welcome home. They happy to have you back home.
Okay. Because you hear so many other stories about, you know, they don't really want you there and stuff, but, you know, when you actually go there, it's totally different. You're not the first person that has said that to me. Wow. That's interesting. Now, there's one photo that you had, and it just struck me. I think it was one where you had interviewed a lady and she was over 100 years old.
Oh, yes.
I can imagine the history that came out of just that photo. I just saw that she just had like tremendous amount of history.
Tremendous amount of history. She was actually, so the first time I met her, she was 121. I actually had an opportunity to meet her twice. Okay. So she was 120 the first time. She still bathes herself. She's in her right state of mind. Still walk with just with a stick. So she was a farmer for 30 plus years. So that's how she was so strong. No alcohol, no drugs, no cigarettes. And she was a farmer, so that was like every morning getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, going out, doing that type of stuff. So she was able to pick. So I actually met 5 generations of that family. So I was introduced to them by the 5th generation. The 5th generation was the first generation that was ever able to go to school, and they actually both college graduates. So she said she did all that, so the generations under her will be able to have opportunities like that.
Man. So I mean, when you talk to her, like, did she give you any type of like just history of where she grew up?
Yeah, so really, the village that she was in was probably about 45 minutes from where she grew up at. And this village is probably, the only way you can get there is a dirt road. And you really need a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So it was like, how can I say this? Like, you see the house and you go like, are people really living like this? You'll think you're back in the 18 and 1900s. Wow. Because some of the people are still living in homes that don't have water, that don't have bathrooms, they're still using outhouses, no electricity. But these people, some of the happiest people, they're not complaining. They're cooking on like what appears to be, well, it was like a rim, and then they had just like a big pot on it. And they was happy with that. Nobody running around with cell phones or computers. A lot of people just flip-flops, never own a pair of shoes.
So when you go there, do you just go to the villages? Have you ventured out into a little bit more just to see other sites too?
So I've had a mixture of what they would consider like, it looked for me, it was like Beverly Hills, where a lot of people think that don't exist, but that definitely exists. So you have the rich, the poor, and then you have just the people that's living below poor. So it's a good, you get to see, I've been blessed to be able to see all of it. So I can see the people who are living and making a good income, living in very nice houses. Then I see the people that's just living in your traditional homes. And then I see people that's living in huts or living in homes that's actually what they call the old-fashioned homes, that's literally made of dirt, where it takes 7 days and each layer is a day that they take the dirt and just make it. And then the tree branches and the little figs is the roof. And they sleeping on like a sheepskin or whatever animal skin, and the more they get, they just make layers of it, and that's their bed.
Wow, that's so fascinating. And you said they're just no complaining?
No complaining.
And just imagine we complain if we leave our cell phones at home. Wow, that has to be eye-opening. It has to be something really that gives you like a sense of, man, you know, you feel blessed.
It's beyond blessed.
Right.
Literally, I think that trip was a trip that really humbled me, because I realized, like, since I've been back from that trip, I've never complained again. I'm super grateful for everything, every opportunity. I'm extremely humble, and literally it sparked something in me to come back the next year. So I went there with the organization took me there to be a photographer to document them doing missions work. I've never done missions. I had no clue what I was walking into, and I just said, "Of course, I'll go. It's Africa. It's an opportunity to go." And went there and seen some things that just blew me away. Came home, and I was like, "Man, I gotta do something about this." And I decided actually the next year to go by myself. And I did some fundraising on social media, and I was able to help a lot of people in about 4 different villages. And then I came back, and I said, "Man, I talked to 3 friends, and I said, I want to do something more than this." And I said, "I think I want to start a nonprofit." I had no clue about any of this stuff. Philanthropy was nowhere in my future. But after going, it's like, you got to do something.
And that was the Hope mission that you started?
Yes, and it's funny that you said it opened your eyes, because that's what HOPE is actually standing for. It's an acronym for Help Open People's Eyes. So every time we do projects, that's our goal, is for people to be able to see, like, this is how people are really living, and really to open their eyes. So this past March, it was a team of 7 of us that actually went there. We was able to build a well in one village that's now serving water to over 300 people. These people had said they only dreamt of ever having water, so to be able to actually provide this water is like on a whole nother level of grateful. And then we adopted a school where we actually built restrooms, because they was just going outside and just using the dirt. So we built 3 bathrooms. We actually in the process of building 4 more. We gave every teacher a laptop. Every kid got a backpack full of school supplies, and currently me and my organization, we pay the teacher's salary every month out of our pocket, because what they don't call it the owner of the school, but they call it a headmaster. It's a guy who had land and sold his land to build this school, because there was no school in the village, and he knew education is the key to make changes in Africa. And he built this school, and literally the people just volunteered. And some people, they get money every so often, but it was nothing consistent. So we was like, okay, we wanted to try to help this. So because these people are taking their hard time and spending to really to do these kids, and they needed help. So we've been doing that since March.
Wow, that's so fascinating. And you think it's one of the richest countries.
And really, technically, it should be the richest country, because it has all the resources.
It does.
But because of corruption, the number one problem is corruption. And for many years, people were slaves. So with that, they don't have education, so they don't even know how to even move in a direction to make change. So that's what's really plaguing Africa. But the good thing is, it's a group of millennials that are starting to rise, and more people from the States are starting to go there and see, and starting to help, and to do businesses there. So it's helping the economy to grow. And in Ghana particularly, there's a new president there, and he's definitely made some changes since he's been in office. And then in some other African countries, they're doing the same thing.
Moving into another direction.
Yeah, moving into another direction. So I think maybe 20 years from now, Africa could possibly come up and be the richest country in the world, like it's supposed to, because really they have all the resources. They just don't have the manpower or the education or the equipment to really manufacture everything they have. So they have companies coming in, doing all this stuff, and then selling their own products back to them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember seeing something, I can't remember, it may have been in CNN, where a lot of the people that were donating clothes here, thinking that, they were going to be sold here, they're sending it over to Africa and selling it to them. And I just never understood that, the way they kind of did it. So, wow, that's really interesting. Now, I know some of your work is in the African American Museum in DC.
Yes.
And I just found that out. And I was just like, so what pieces are in there?
So actually, in 2015, in the Baltimore uprising, I was out shooting, and I ran across a guy that tapped on my shoulder and asked me, was I a real photographer? Somebody was taking pictures. And I said, no, I'm a real photographer. Gave him my business card. He never mentioned who he was. 2 weeks later, I get an email saying, hey, I looked through your website. I love your work, but I don't see any pictures from the riot. Is there any way I can see some of the pictures? And I said, sure, that's possible. And he said, okay, let's set up a meeting, and I scroll all the way down to the bottom of the email. I said, wait a minute, this is the curator from the Smithsonian. I said, this got to be somebody trying to play a prank joke on me. But I remember specifically giving this guy a call. So I said, okay, well, just call me. Called the next day, we talked. We set up a meeting, and he was like, I said, look, I'll come to DC tomorrow. Because I'm like, Smithsonian want to see my work? Oh, yes, I'll make that trip.
Right.
And he's like, no, we'll actually come to you. Let me call my boss. And they did a 3-way call. And 3 days later, they came to my home. I put together a presentation because nobody had ever seen these images. I was just sitting on them, trying to decide what I was going to do. I had over 1,000 pictures because I literally stayed out there for 10 days from sun up to sundown, documenting stuff.
Oh, man.
And they came in 3 minutes into the presentation. They was like, how can we get these pictures? And I said, well, if you have an external hard drive, you can take them today. He whipped out an external hard drive, gave them to him, and we met for about 2 years, so many different meetings. And out of the 1,000 plus pictures, they wound up picking 19 of the images, and actually 4 of them are on display in the actual museum. Then other ones they use for travel exhibits for their website, and then a book that they did.
Wow, that has to be fascinating.
It is fascinating.
To be able to, especially going to African American Museum and actually see your work.
Yeah, and it's the most visited Smithsonian out of all of the Smithsonian. So it's really, it's definitely opened some doors for me, and it was just actually one of the things on my list. I remember a couple years prior to that, I wrote on my list, one of my dreams was to have my work featured in the Smithsonian. So it was just like, wow, that's why it's very important to write everything down and kind of stay focused, and you just never know who is who, so you gotta always know your best behavior, and just try to, like I said, just document history, because that's all it was.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't out there.
Pictures can never be replaced.
Exactly. I wasn't out there trying to get paid. I was literally just a freelance, just out there taking pictures. And I just had no clue that one day it was going to wind up in the Smithsonian, but I'm grateful for that opportunity.
So what other opportunities have you had? Because I know you've probably done some politicians. So who else is on your bucket list and you say, you know what, I would love to do photography?
National Geographic. That's the number one thing right now on my list, is to be featured in the National Geographic, or to start doing some assignments for them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's major.
That's the next big thing. And to probably do a traveling exhibit all around the world. Because I really want to work now to visit the continent of Africa, to reach every country.
In Africa?
In Africa. And it's 54 countries. Ooh. Yeah.
So far, how many?
So I'm just starting. So literally this is about to be the 4th year now. I've been to Ghana every year. I've been going every year.
Okay.
But I was in Kenya last year, and I'm planning to go to Tanzania in a few months. And I'm actually putting together a trip, because so many people want the experience, and they're like, man, I wish I could just do what you're doing. And I said, okay, one day I'm gonna figure out a way to do it. So I'm actually planning to take somewhere between 15 to 20 photographers to Tanzania in November for 10 days.
Okay. Maybe you can get a big dollar for me. I'm just putting it out there. But that's really fascinating. You're Baltimore.
Yes.
So
born and raised in Baltimore.
Born and raised. So before I let you go, and I always like to ask my guests this, just based on who they are. If somebody was to take a photo of you, what story would it tell? Like, what would be the focus of that picture for you? Something that says history, so somebody was to see you probably 30 years from now, whatever, like, what would you want that picture to tell that person about you?
Probably that I was not afraid to go after my dreams, and I didn't limit myself to just doing stuff in the States. That I was somebody who went after my dreams, and not only that, was trying to help other people in the process. I think that's probably what I would want people to remember me by. People say, what do you want to remember by when you're about 20, 30 years? I want people to remember me not just as a photographer, but also as the person. And I think that's more important than just a photographer. Yes, I'll take great photos. I love great photos, but definitely.
But you captured history.
Yeah, somebody who captured history and shared history with people, and inspire people to chase their dreams.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Well, like I said, I followed you for a while, and I've seen, like I said, see you at events, but just to see, and if you haven't gone to his Instagram, it's J_unique guy, and you have some really, really great pictures, and every time when I see you go to Africa, I'm looking like, oh my God, oh my God. So you probably see like liking up every picture, but you know, when you capture that type of, when you see somebody that actually captures that type of just what's being told in front of you, that's really like, that can inspire others, and you can tell a whole lot from that picture. So I mean, like I said, if you go to his Instagram, you'll see a lot of history, a lot of stories being told just from one photo. So that's big. So hopefully, not hopefully, but I will definitely see you in National Geographic.
Yes,
Sit down with you again.
Yes, definitely.
So, but tell everybody if they, want to help with your mission or may want to get in touch with you, where can people find you?
So, for anybody who wants to get in touch with me in reference to my nonprofit Hope Missions, you can go to www.hopemissionsghana.org. And then if you have any questions or want to take any of my photography classes or travel, possibly on some of the upcoming trips that we have planned, you can go to www.jermainegibbs.com.
Okay.
And my contact information, everything, email, you can just go to the site and hit one button. It'll take you to directly email or my contact information.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you again.
Oh, thank you.
I appreciate you sitting down with me and talking, and hopefully we can talk again.
Oh, definitely.
When you come back for one of your many trips that you taken, because I know you've taken a lot of trips and you've captured a lot of photos. So, but thank you again. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and this is Sacred J, and catch me again when I am sitting down with another fascinating person for Xclusives with April J.